Thank you for coming. How are you all today? Great. My name is Vijay Gopalakrishnan. I'm a product marketing manager with the SQL Data Warehousing team. My focus predominantly is on modern data warehousing. We'll talk a bit about modern data warehousing as we go ahead. But in this session today, we will talk about how we use modern data warehousing, how one of our partners uses modern data warehousing. So I'm not going to bore you with all the theory. We'll have one of the partners actually show us a demo on how it's being implemented in the industry. So just out of curiosity, how many of you have heard of modern data warehousing, have tried? Okay, great. So we'll jump into that. Let's quickly look into what modern data warehousing is and what is this term. So traditionally, if we were to look at data warehousing, it's just the data warehousing part, right? So it's the Azure SQL Data Warehousing piece here, and then we don't discuss about the other pieces of the solution here. With modern data warehousing, we are taking a solution-based approach to data warehousing. How is that? So if you look to the left side, you will see that we're talking of unstructured and structured data. So any sort of data that goes into batch processing. We have two paths. So the Azure native environment uses Data Factory for ingestion. You could use, then it stores the data, use Polybase, and then load it into SQL Data Warehousing. The other path for unstructured data is to use Databricks, where you can clean, prep your data, and load it into your SQL Data Warehousing. Now also note that Databricks has offers another unique opportunity here, which is it's the leeway to the world of machine learning and artificial intelligence. And that's one of the topics that we will cover today as to how we are leveraging that. So that being said, I'd like to welcome Adrian from our partner Rubikloud. And Adrian today is going to talk to us about how they use modern data warehousing in their environment. Welcome, Adrian.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Good.
Good to see you.
Good.
So Adrian, why don't you tell us about Rubikloud and what Rubikloud does?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for inviting us to come present here at Microsoft Ingest. Okay, so Rubikloud, it's a young venture-backed startup from Toronto, Ontario. And our core thesis from day one has been that machine learning and artificial intelligence, these are truly transformative and powerful technologies, but they can only really succeed as a product rather than as a developer API or platform by taking a really narrow focus so that you can bake domain expertise directly into the product. And for us, that domain happens to be retail, specifically really large enterprise retailers, the kind with both a brick and mortar and a large online presence with really big, complex, big data problems to solve. And this thesis has manifested itself into two sort of flagship products. The first one we call Promotion Manager, and this focuses on mass market promotions, so things like flyers, everyday low price, that sort of thing, where the main lever is the price itself, and we're trying to optimize for improving demand forecast accuracy so that we can reduce stockouts and overstock, and just increasing lift in the overall category. The second product is called Customer Lifecycle Manager. And this one's focused on categories and retailers that already have a really high penetration loyalty program, like over 70% penetration. And there the focus is more on long-term customer journey, on finding the right cross-sell opportunities, optimizing that sort of thing.
Great. Now that's awesome. But now that we've spoken about the modern data warehousing solution, how do you guys leverage it? How do you, and what are the benefits you see using modern data warehousing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the important thing to note is that for us, data warehousing is a means to an end. It's not a goal in itself. In fact, most of the time when we reach out and engage with a client for the first time, they're not even on the cloud yet. Through a series of mergers and acquisitions, their data is strewn through maybe dozens of disparate on-prem data warehouses. In the worst cases, they're trapped in Excel files that are on SharePoint servers or email servers. And so we need to get them into a single into a single resource group on the cloud. And we do that through kind of a three-tiered approach. So first thing is that we have to de-silo everything. We have to physically move data from all of these different silos and into a single resource group. The problem is that because data is so important, it's the center of gravity of these organizations, the whole organization has kind of molded itself around this haphazard distribution of where things are. So like a KPI that really should be monitored at the organization level is being monitored at a regional level because it just so happened that the database that stored that KPI was regional, and that was the easiest way to build the reporting structure. So if the client is already on Azure, for example, then everything is really easy, right? We just add each other's resource groups to each other's subscriptions, and then we can open a direct pipe on the same subnet, and we don't go over the public internet. There's not a lot of security concerns. Performance is A+, and everyone's happy. In the more common case where they're not on the cloud yet, then yeah, we have to do a whole bunch of point-to-point connections. We have to go over the public internet and all the difficulties that entails, but it's a worthwhile and necessary step in order to get to the second goal, which is we need to convert all of that data that we've moved physically and unified physically. We also need to unify it logically. And that means taking all of those different schemas from different source systems and converting them to a single canonical data format. That canonical data format is something that we call the Rubikloud, or the retail data model. And it just encapsulates kind of the best practices that we've accumulated through doing dozens and dozens of these engagements. We made a decision long ago that our data scientists, our business analysts, and at no point should they be writing ETL jobs. That's just not a good use of their skills and expertise. And so we built this custom ETL pipeline that does this step for them. And actually, I was really pleased to see yesterday during Satya's keynote the Open Data Initiative, which obviously a little bit more high level than our offering, but it shows that Microsoft is thinking along the same lines. And then lastly, the last step of this ingestion process is we need to expose that data to a wider audience.
Sure.
Spark SQL queries and HDFS nodes, they may be the right tool for the job for actually generating these outputs, but it's important that we meet the industry in the middle, right? So both the raw data that's coming directly from the raw sources that I mentioned, as well as the generated outputs, the model weights, the network outputs, et cetera, those both need to end up in the same place and use something like a familiar Transact SQL-based language. And that's where Azure SQL Data Warehouse comes in. It's the perfect fit because you can connect Azure Data Storage to it, no problem. And then through Polybase, you can also bring in the outputs that are sitting on HDFS from the same systems that generated those outputs, and you can seamlessly merge them as if they were tables in the same physical database. And that gives the ability for business analysts who typically would be siloed away from this really deep intelligence, it gives them access to something that they would normally not have. So once we've completed these three steps, then we're ready to actually power the application with it.
Perfect. And I'm assuming, so in today's demo, you're going to show us some of these processes and how you go through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. So with that being said, I'll let Adrian take over. Adrian's going to show us a demonstration, how they use it, what's their use case, and how they're leveraging different tools. I'll let Adrian decide if he's going to take questions on the go or after that. But thank you, Adrian.
Thank you so much, PJ. Yeah, and please feel free to interrupt with questions or save questions for the end. I'm a big fan of Q&A. Oh, it looks like my notes have disappeared. All right, that's okay. Okay, so one of the key sort of pillars of the customer lifecycle project that I mentioned earlier is something called the Customer Data Platform. Now, if you're not super up to date with your marketing buzzwords, Customer Data Platform is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's the subset of your data warehouse that contains everything there is to know specifically about the customer, no matter which source system it's coming from. And then it wraps it all in a unique ID that's immutable across systems, and any system downstream can use it and get the same view, a 365 view of the customer from anywhere. So for example, when a customer first signs up for your loyalty program and they fill out that big form with all that juicy demographic data, right? That's your CRM appending data to your customer data platform. And then a bit later, when maybe you send out an email campaign that promotes a new in-house brand, and they respond to that campaign, they click through, maybe they convert, maybe they don't. That's your email marketing automation tool also appending to the CDP. And then maybe a year down the line when the point of sale system, the actual cash register that's processing credit cards and transactions, notices that the primary store for that customer, the store where they're doing the bulk of their transactions, has shifted from San Francisco to New York. They've moved across the country, and it registers a new primary store. That's your POS system appending rows to the customer data platform. And the important part is that any downstream system, any models, they can all just take the customer ID that they were given and get all of that information in a single place. So that's sort of the definition of a customer data platform. And Customer Lifecycle Manager, our loyalty-focused project, is, among many other things, a first-class CDP. Now, one of the sort of key pillars of Customer Lifecycle Manager is that it's very focused, has a first-class notion of the customer lifecycle, which is what this drawing here is like a very primitive and rudimentary version of, but it's pretty much exactly what you see, right? So when a customer first joins, they're in the onboard stage. Once you've established a relationship with them, they're shopping regularly, you're growing them. Hopefully they all get into that steady maintain cycle where you have a healthy relationship, you know the share of wallet, et cetera. And then eventually over time, maybe you start losing share of wallet, maybe they lose interest in the category, maybe a competitor steals them, and you start to detect that they have a high probability of churn. And then sadly, some customers fall into the win-back category, which represents people who you essentially have estimated are not going to return. So this is a very sort of oversimplified version of customer lifecycle, but there's a couple of things that are important to note right away. So firstly, a strategy that's appropriate for one stage of a customer's life is not necessarily appropriate for every other stage. If someone's in the win-back category and you've assessed that their customer lifecycle, their lifetime customer value to you from here on out is close to zero because you're probably never going to see them again, then there's really no harm in applying like a really aggressive 50% discount, right? It's like calling into Comcast to cancel your cable and suddenly the price drops by 75%. It's a totally fine thing to do there. You've really got nothing to lose. But you would never want to apply that same strategy to somebody who you're trying to grow. Not only are you just giving away margin for free, but you're also building the wrong expectation with your customer. Now they associate you with the vendor that they only visit when they get a really attractive offer in the mail. You don't want to turn your customers into coupon chasers. So the strategy that you apply to these segments is very context sensitive. The other important thing to note is that different industries, different verticals, different categories even, will have vastly different definitions of what these should look like. So if you're a furniture store, then maybe for you, customer lifecycle, the most important thing, the only thing that really matters, is identifying the 2 to 3 times in your customer's entire life. And I mean like their biological, physical life, not this graph. The 2 or 3 times in their entire life when they're moving their house, right? And if you can correctly identify and then correctly act on that prediction, then that completely overshadows the remaining 30 years of your relationship with them. And that's what customer lifecycle means to you as a furniture retailer. If you're a grocer, on the other hand, then customer lifecycle most likely means beating the grocery store across the street by the thinnest possible margin every single day, right? And making the customer understand that like the loyalty points that they're getting, the 2x deal, they can't miss out on that gamifying that experience. That's a completely different notion of customer lifecycle, right? So both of these things show how context sensitive and complicated lifecycle is. And we've built lifecycle into the customer data platform in a fundamental way. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so the customer lifecycle as an abstract concept has been, we didn't invent it. The concept has been in use for a very long time. What has changed as technology has gotten more advanced and as data penetration has gotten a lot deeper is the sheer number of dimensions that we're able to track, right? Customer behavior is a complex beast. It's affected by their physical characteristics, their age, their personality, by what's trending on Instagram that day, right? These are all important factors that previously were impossible to track. Now they're becoming more and more possible. And if you were to take the sort of Cartesian product of every possible pairwise combination of all of these different factors, you'd probably end up with every customer in a segment of one, which is probably correct. Probably there is enough richness in the feature space to support such a fine-grained segmentation. But if you actually want to take your organization to the point where it's able to act on and actually influence decisions to that level of granularity, then you need two things. You need tons of data, all the data, and you need the AI and machine learning infrastructure to actually organize and sort through that. So in terms of having all the data, this is a subset of it. It's certainly not all, but it gives you a pretty good idea of the kinds of things that we ingest on a regular basis. It comes from a lot of different vendors, and that's why the data warehousing piece that we talked about at the beginning is so important, because all of these vendors, not only are they different from each other, but even within multiple deployments of the same thing, there's often very little similarity. It depends very much on which system integrator you got. So every time one of these like big box retailers like Toys R Us or whatever, whenever they go under, for the next 2 weeks, the tech press is all talking about the retail apocalypse or retail Mageddon or whatever it's called. The idea being that retail is doomed. We're all going to be buying from Amazon in the next 5 years, and America is going to be a great wasteland of broken shopping malls. The truth is, the retail industry is still like some ridiculous double-digit percentage of the entire economic activity of the planet. So it's not going away anytime in our lifetime. What is happening is a consolidation. What used to be hundreds, thousands of retailers are now being consolidated into a smaller number of players, and those players are the ones who do get this data, right? The ones who don't are either going bankrupt, or they're being intermediated by these new sort of third-party loyalty programs, right? If you think of things like Uber Eats, not Uber the car sharing, but the one where you order restaurants from a list and then they come and ship it to you. If you think about it, what happens when the top restaurant on your Uber Eats menu disappears, the relationship went sour or whatever? What do? Do you go online and you track that restaurant down and continue buying from them, or do you just go to number 2 on the menu, right? Obviously, history shows you go to number 2 on the menu, which means that retailer never really owned their relationship to you. Whoops. Actually, Uber owned that relationship. They've completely intermediated between you and the client, and those are the guys who are going away. So really what the retail apocalypse represents is either you're Starbucks and you're building one of the largest loyalty systems on the planet, or you're getting intermediated by an Uber or a Ritual or something like that. So that's why it's important to not let this be a sideshow. Gathering this data needs to be front and center of your strategy. And then secondly, organization is highly non-trivial. We need to, no matter how expensive, no matter how powerful your tool is, no human is able to go through every possible combination, the combinatorial explosion of parameters. There's some examples here of just one aspect of a single customer's behavior, and you can break it down in so many different ways. No category manager is able to do that at a fine-grained enough level. You need AI and machine learning in order to do anomaly detection, to do time series analysis and figure out what things need to be looked at, et cetera. And those are the kind of things that a good customer data platform enables you to do. By segmenting data appropriately, you can actually drill down to exactly the items that need actioning through traditional marketing tools, mass email, et cetera. There's innovation on that front too, but it's not really the focus of today. Okay, so given that this is the problem, the stage has been set, let's give sort of a brief look at one subset of one particular branch of functionality that can do something like this. So let's all do a quick prayer to the demo gods that this is all going to work smoothly on brand new Wi-Fi. All right. So what we have here is kind of a simplified and anonymized, deprivacied version of a notebook environment, a product screen that a more sophisticated category manager might be using through the data platform. So this is somebody who knows they have the domain expertise in their category, but they also have the ability to dive down in SQL, write Python, execute Spark jobs. They understand parallelization a little bit. And this is a role that more and more retailers are finding absolutely critical. Okay, so let's say I'm that manager. And I'm looking for a campaign to help an ailing category. Is this large enough? Can everyone even read the text? Let me grow that a little bit. All right. So I'm going to focus on the left-hand side of the screen for right now. You'll notice that this is sort of an augmented notebook interface. The right side is a typical Jupyter notebook that we'll get to in a second, and the left side is a corresponding panel that can communicate back and forth with the notebook. Okay, so I'm going to select a segment dimension. I could choose any of them, but for now I'm just going to choose loyalty group. All right, and we immediately see something kind of concerning. So we see that the loyal segment, so across the x-axis here we have just a very simplified breakdown of that customer lifecycle that I defined earlier with onboarding, growing, maintain, etc. This one is just a set of VIP labels that the client themselves has deployed. It's VIP, loyal, infrequent, and new. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. And we see a pretty sharp decline in loyal. So not only is that segment churning, but that segment's also responsible for a dramatically lower percentage of sales. So we're going to, So we're going to select, obviously, the loyal category, because that's the one that's clearly in trouble. And we're going to apply a series of analyses. Analysis is basically a set of metrics that we can compute on any subset of the customer base. So far, this is all point and click, right? I haven't coded anything yet. Okay, so let's take a look at segment migration first. You could have done them all at once, but I'm just going to look one by one. Is that still big enough? Fair enough. Okay, so this segment migration is just one of those Sankey charts that confirms the obvious suspicion that the loyals, they're not all migrating to VIPs, right? 2% of them are, but 4 times as many are migrating to infrequent, so we are losing them. That confirms the suspicion we had from the sales numbers. Diving into regional analysis, we'll let that analysis complete. We see that the regions are more or less a non-factor here. All the regions are losing at roughly the same rate, so that's not very helpful. We'll add another analysis for top categories to see if any particular category is overly responsible. Okay, analysis completed there as well. Okay, so now we're getting to something. So we see that one particular category here, cosmetics, is responsible for the lion's share of the loss, 15% compared to a 1% on the next lowest category. And not only is it the largest proportional loss, but it's also the one that a priori accounted for the majority of the revenue in that category. So actually that loss is doubly painful. So within that particular, so I'm going to add an analysis for top brands. Top brands is a parameterized analysis. It needs to know which category I want the brands for. Obviously, brands pertain to a specific category. And since cosmetics was the category that I was worried about, I'm going to do a breakdown by brand. Okay, and once again, we see the obvious culprit. Chanel is the one that dropped the most, and it's also the one that accounted for the highest percentage of sales in that category. So again, a double whammy. This is probably the largest contributor to our breakdown. And then finally, let's just see if there's anything having to do with the age breakdown that can help in the analysis. And oh my goodness, yes indeed. 25 to 35-year-olds are accounting for the vast majority, in fact, are solely responsible for the drop. And they're not the largest contributor to this segment, but they are a significant one. So This most likely confirms our off-the-cuff diagnosis, but it merits a little further analysis, right? So this is as far as we can go with just the point-and-click analytics. We can't really segment any further than that. The sample size is getting too small. But what we can do is register this segment with the SQL Data Warehouse. The exact set of filters that have been applied to that segment to produce it will become available in the Hive Metastore. And from the notebook, we'll be able to load that segment and carry on whatever further analysis we want to do in a notebook where we have full programmatic access to Python, machine learning libraries, whatever the case may be. So in order to do that, I'm just going to hit register segment. I have to give it a name. I'm just going to call it 25 to 35 Chanel because this is the 25 to 35 age group, and Chanel is the brand that we're concerned about, so I'm going to register that segment. It's going to say creating segment. Okay, segment registered. So it's in the Hive Metastore now. Okay, so the notebook, I guess, needs a little bit of explaining. I don't know how many of you have used a Jupyter notebook in the past. Okay, perfect. So a lot of us. This is a little bit of a souped-up notebook environment. There's a lot of custom libraries, but it should feel intimately familiar to anyone who works in them a lot. It has two primary modes. It's integrated with Spark Magics, which is a way for notebooks to have a Spark mode that communicates through a Livy REST API with a Spark cluster that's sitting alongside. And it also has a local mode where you can run things that don't need to be parallelized. Actually, Spark Magic was started at Microsoft. Now it's a Jupyter incubator project, but it was actually birthed here at Microsoft. So I've gone through the sort of busy work of registering the Spark cluster and anonymizing some of the data that's going to show up on screen. So this stuff up here is not something that you would ever normally have to do. But if I come into a blank cell here and I run, so this cell magic here, %% Spark, means I'm running in the Spark context. The -C SQL says that I want it to be run in the SQL context of the Spark kernel. And okay, so first let's just list all the tables that Hive knows about. Okay, the network is not the greatest, but it seems, okay, there we go. Okay, so here we can see all of the tables that Hive is aware of. So all of the tables that start with D underscore or F underscore, those are tables from RDM. That's the pure data warehousing, one-to-one mapping between the data that the client gave us and the data that's being used for analytic purposes for powering the machine learning models that do all of this, et cetera. So you can see all of the usual suspects. D underscore, by the way, refers to dimension tables, and F underscore refers to fact tables. So we can see that pretty much everything that you would expect in a CRM type data warehouse is there. This table right here that came up, CDP 2535 Chanel, is the segment that we registered through the UI a second ago. So the CDP prefix is because it came from the customer data platform, and then 2535 Chanel is just the name we gave it. Okay, so if I go back into here and run, I'll just select star from CD, what do I call it, CDP 2535 Chanel, sorry. Just limit 10 for now because I don't want to wait for the whole thing to parse. Okay, so we can see that it's a list of recipient IDs. Recipient ID, by the way, is just one of the key identifiers in the CRM. It's the one that links to the PII, things like email address, which we obviously only want to link at the very last second. So recipient ID just refers to the contact key that eventually links to those. So we can see that this segment is just a list of recipient IDs, which is exactly as it should be because the recipient ID is the final step that you need to connect to everything else. So, okay, going one step deeper, if we attempt to join with the DRK customer on, I'll capitalize this all wrong. Okay, we call this A, we'll call this B on A.recipient ID equals B.recipient ID, still limit 10 because we don't want to wait too long. then in a second. Okay, so we see that the cleansed sort of information that came from the CDP gets joined in, which, I mean, it seems like a normal SQL Data Warehouse kind of thing, but keep in mind that this segment we just created a second ago, and it wasn't on SQL Data Warehouse. This is something that exists purely in the Hive metastore, purely in the Spark cluster. This join happened through a polybase join. That's really something unique to Azure SQL Data Warehouse. So even though this just looks like a normal SQL query, actually there's a little bit of cross-domain magic has already happened. Okay, so this just gives us a couple of extra dimensional fields about the clients that we already identified. What we really want to know is what does it look like? What does that gap that we saw in sales look like in terms of impact on bottom line? So in order to do that, let's take a left join with FRK transaction detail, also on a recipient ID equals, okay, we'll call that guy C. Yeah, exactly. So they're all Hive external tables, but the backing store is completely different based on the sort of prefix there. So some of these backing stores are Parquet files, snappy Parquet files sitting on blob. Some of them are SQL Data Warehouse, like JDBC drivers. Some of them are temporary views that are just created for the session. It's really a motley crew in there. Okay, so really the only thing we care about here is to grab the recipient ID from the segment, and I guess the transaction date from there, and I guess let's just let's sum together the order total to see how much each of these customers has contributed to daily sales, and then of course we have to group by C transaction date, and you're right, I missed an S in transaction. Thank you. Oh. It's getting worse. Oh, recipient. Oh, did I? Oh, sorry, I didn't. I forgot to group by recipient ID. Yep. Okay, that's fine. These are all just my mistakes, not the demo's fault. How are we doing on time? Oh boy, we're already over time. All right. Okay, so this join is going to take a slightly longer amount of time because obviously it's joining with a much larger fact table. The transaction detail spans years and years, and it's very large, but it's already completed actually. Once you see this type bar with all the different visualization methodologies, that means that the server has finished processing, and now it's just in the process of serializing and sending it over the wire. Okay, so, oh, whoops, we still had the limit 10 in there. Let me get rid of the limit 10. So once we've received this, we're going to switch to the line view and see a plot. We're using the AutoVis widget that's part of Spark Magic, and that will just give us an immediate view into it. And we will very shortly confirm our suspicion that something strange happened. And in the interest of time, I'm going to jump ahead ever so slightly. Okay, and line graph. So we see that we did the appropriate grouping there. There we go. Okay, so something weird definitely did sort of happen around the January mark. The fact that it so cleanly happened around January 1st gives me suspicion that this has something to do with accounts rotating out, like maybe there was an expiry date that turned over right at the end of the year, and it may be more of a clerical thing rather than a behavioral thing. But this immediately confirms our suspicions and shows us where this is supposed to be going. Okay. But so far, other than the fact that we've combined a couple of disparate data sources, this is all something that we could have done in a traditional data warehouse had we had the foresight to generate exactly these segmentations ahead of time. One thing that this kind of platform brings that really is impossible to do in pure SQL Data Warehouse is to bring in programmatic and machine learning type APIs, the kinds of things you can only do in Spark. Now, unfortunately, especially given the time constraints right now, I certainly can't type that all out for you, but I did take the liberty of generating a category affinity embedding. So the final goal of this is to generate to generate an activation, which is a fancy marketing term for essentially a campaign. So we want to hit these users who are cycling out. We want to hit them with an aggressive offer of the type I described for the churn segment. In order to do that, we need to refine the activation a little bit more granularly. In this case, what we're deciding to do is, and let me just run this while I speak, is to use a generative neural network that looks at a customer's entire basket history, takes kind of every subsequence from it, and trains a predictor on the next item in that sequence. And then as a kind of simplifying factor, it projects that recommended SKU to just that SKU's category, which basically means that we're projecting it onto a list of, as you can see here, about 4 or 5 things. Now, this feature space is extremely high dimensional. Literally thousands of dimensions went into generating this. It would be impossible to visualize that in any way that would make any sense to a human. So we're using a visualization technique in this doPlot helper function called TSNES. I forget what it stands for, but basically TSNE, right? It's right in the title. But essentially, it's very similar. It's like a simple spectral embedding. It provides kind of a human-readable spectral embedding where it takes this extremely high-dimensional, 1,000-dimensional space and maps it to, in this case, 2 dimensions in a way where closeness in 1,000 dimensions maps to closeness in 2 dimensions. Of course, since a lot of this dimensionality is being reduced, the structure is going to be more complex than it would be in a higher dimensional space. So you can see here in this visualization that like the blue has a definite shape to it. It's not exactly linearly separable or anything like that, but if you imagine that the colors, the browns and the pinks and the blues here, represent data coming in or going out of the page, then you could imagine how in a higher dimensional space, this data is linearly separable, which means that we have a classifier that allows us to map each customer to exactly which category we should be recommending for them. So if I turn this segment into an activation, I can use the segment I've already registered. I can add a model, and specifically I'm going to add this custom function that I just generated. Technically I generated it ahead of time, but we're just going to add it in here. So any function that I registered in the notebook, in the same way that a segment that I registered on the sidebar is available in the notebook, the function that I registered in the notebook is available in the sidebar. So I can generate the activation here, add the model, create activation, give it a name, 2535 Chanel. Set a start date. The start date, by the way, is not cosmetic. It's actually very important to the activation because it affects the way that things like seasonality and replenishment are calculated for each individual customer. So they'll get completely different recs based on the time period. Okay, so now this activation, there it is, 2535 Chanel has been added, and if we click into it, okay, we see a sample of customers and exactly which products they've been recommended on the basis of this ML model. I'm in no way a cosmetics expert, but I've been assured by the best in the biz that there are indeed some Chanel things mixed in here and other Chanel-like quality things. So we're almost done. So now this activation exists. We can validate it. If we need to, we can pull it back into the notebook, explore it a little bit further. But assuming that we're happy with it, we hit the Sync with Microsoft Dynamics button to push to an API that registers it as an activation, as a campaign in Microsoft Dynamics. Microsoft Dynamics is one of many marketing automation tools that we support, but it's the one I'm showing here. And then if we, do I still have? Yeah, here we go. So now if I go into Dynamics, I should expect to see 2 things. One, if I go into the marketing area, okay, so this doesn't look very impressive because I've scrubbed out all of the fields that you would normally see in a CRM, like email and customer name. But if I click into one, you can see that there is, in fact, a customer here. They do have like their location and everything, so they are there. And I can also go into the marketing email section, and I should have a template. Or where is it? Marketing email templates. No, sorry. Marketing emails? There, no. I seem to have lost it. All right, well, it should have also synced an email template, which probably is in here, except I am not very good with Dynamics, and so I don't really know which of these many things marked marketing is the right one. But essentially, the marketing email is in here. Once your category manager has approved it, you hit a button, and the emails are sent. So we've gone from A to Z. We started with raw data sitting in a data warehouse, and we've applied both iterative sort of manual analysis as well as machine learning for generating the recommendations, and we've pushed all of those out to the customer at the very end. All right, so that leaves 4 minutes for questions. Anything?
Would you
Yep.
then, 6 months from now,
Yeah.
be able to trend what you just did back to
Yes.
success?
Exactly, yes. Sorry, I didn't really have time to, so this was actually, there were several more slides that we obviously didn't have time to get into. But yeah, there's a health and monitoring, are you guys able, yeah, okay. There's a health and monitoring section of the app as well that allows you to drill down and compare performance of various campaigns. It's the sort of experimentation and A/B testing half of the platform is actually another kind of huge bee's nest of complexity to unravel. Yeah.
So why did you pick Azure SQL Data Warehouse?
Why do we pick Azure SQL Data Warehouse? So firstly, it's very well supported on Azure, and Azure is one of our first-class vendors. I think given that our clients are mostly retailers, it's easy to imagine why some of the other cloud vendors were not really an option. SQL Data Warehouse in particular, what I love about it is 2 things. Polybase is really powerful, the ability to mix in stuff from the data lake and stuff from the data warehouse with essentially just SQL is extremely powerful. And the speed at which it scales DWUs up and down. Competing data warehouses of this type, generally you're talking hours and hours because data is partitioned when the cluster is brought up, and so when you double the size of the cluster, you have to wait for disk I/O to redistribute data across a whole new set of disks. Azure Data Warehouse, I don't really know how it does it. I think it just basically has redundant copies of every partition on every disk because I can go from the minimum like 600 DWUs or whatever to like 30,000 DWUs in a couple of minutes, and it's ready to take queries almost immediately, which is critical because we do daily loads and we have scheduled updates for things like BI tools, but the rest of the time it's mostly idle with occasional gaps. So the ability to say like, okay, we know a daily load is happening between these 2 hours. I only want to pay for elevated DWUs for this 2-hour period is something that no other data warehouse that I know of has been able to guarantee. Any other questions? So we can deploy to HD Insight. We can also deploy to Databricks, etc. We just obviously not all of the notebook integrations work as well without a browser extension. But yeah, we're anything that implements whatever Python class it is that implements the Spark Hive catalog subclass will work just fine. We're not really stressing the meta store very hard. Any other questions? All right, cool. Thank you so much, everyone.